you are now behind enemy lines, baby. Hey there, how you doing, everybody? Gene Baradelli, Ross Galloway here. Did I miss something? People seem to be really, really happy today. What's going on, brother?
I mean, I was briefly happy, but now it's time to get to work. I want vengeance.
Oh, no, okay. So I can't agree with that because we're still in the afterglow, in my opinion, of the greatest political comeback in American history, pal.
We are sitting on a field of victory.
We did it. This was the night that we've all been waiting for. We've been doing, between shows and doing campaigning, we've been doing this, 15 years now? Something like that? Damn, we finally made it to the promised land.
Yeah, I mean, some would call it a comeback. Others would call it a three-peat or a hat trick, right? The guy won 3 in a row.
It's
you can
amazing.
Say what you will about 2020. This is the 3rd one in a row.
Let me tell you something. There are some graphs out there showing the aberration between 2020 and the last 2 elections and this one, showing how that jump up there, man, oh man, there can be a case made for that.
Yeah, let's just briefly touch on that, Gene. Don't go away from there yet.
Listen, we can get into it, but I just want to say to everybody while we're here, I gotta do the grift. I gotta do the grift, bro. It's what I do. It's what makes me me. We gotta get through all the grifting. I wanted to say thanks to everybody tuning in. I appreciate you all being around. I'm Gene, he's Ross. We are Behind Enemy Lines Radio. Wherever you're watching, whether it's on Rumble, YouTube, X, wherever it is, like, comment, share the show with your friends, all that really good stuff. Subscribe to the channel. I'm keeping the banners off the screen right now, pal, because frankly, we're freestyling. I did no show prep. I've been doing nothing but hanging out and enjoying ourselves here. This has been the best day. I've been enjoying the tears. I've been insufferable on social media. Just saying, hey, a lot of these people out there that have been chirping in my ear this whole time, they're being pretty damn quiet today.
Yeah, well, fuck them.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about those numbers real quick, because I didn't forget.
Well, before we do that, I want you to get into those numbers, but I got some business here. I don't know if you're looking on the screen right now, pal, but I got some business.
So I want to thank you all for being here. And now, who am I introducing next?
Well, we're going to be introducing next Mr. Rowdy Rick Robinson and Miss Stacey Lennox. I'm going to take the banner off their faces. How you guys doing over there?
Do your viewers a favor and leave the banner over my face. They'll appreciate it.
No, we can barely see it anyway. Don't worry, you're fine. Anyways, Ross, you were about to get in some numbers. Hi, Stace. Hi, Rick. Ross, you want to get into some numbers? Do it, man, because I think this is important.
Yeah, I mean, just real quick, you mentioned some of those graphs floating around online, but it is a serious question, right? And hopefully once we're back in power in the next few weeks here, we dig into this. And I know Donald Trump didn't forget any of this stuff, right? As of last count, and they're still counting votes. How the fuck are they still counting votes? I still don't understand that, but they're still counting votes. Trump is hovering around 72 million-ish votes. Back in 2020, 75 million. So he's on target to be right about where he was back in 2020. Kamala got 67 million-ish votes currently, and that's going to tick up a little more, but she's going to come nowhere near the 81 million votes that Joe Biden supposedly got in 2021. So the question is, where the fuck are the other 15 to 20 million votes that were cast in 2020? Where did those?
It's better than that. It's better than that. I was looking back today, and supposedly in 2020, 67% of the electorate voted, according to BLS. Today, I read an article that yesterday, a record-setting total of 66% of the electorate voted, and not that many people had voted since 1903 or something ridiculous. Not that large of a percentage of the electorate. So did we just memory wipe 2020? I think we did.
It could be. I mean,
I'm sorry, but 15 million is not 1%.
Well, you know what? Let's add another layer onto that, because while those numbers are floating out there, we're also seeing from the analysis that people are doing, the analysts out there, saying things like this about Harris underperforming Joe Biden in 2020.
Are there any places that the vice president is overperforming Joe Biden in 2020? So we could show you that as well. We just bring that out here. Harris overperforming in 2020.
Holy smokes.
There you go. So let this go away and see if there's anything on the east side there.
Literally nothing?
Literally nothing.
Literally not one county?
Jig Tapper. I'm sorry. I hadn't seen that.
So I do have to
That was almost as good if you guys didn't cut it. Everybody who's listening should go out and find the clip of Joe Scarborough telling his audience that he's been telling the Democrats for 4 years they needed to cut out the woke bullshit or they were going to lose. Like, we shouldn't be having boys in women's restrooms. Oh my God. I was laughing so hard. I was crying. And there was a couple people on there with him, like Claire McCaskill and all these other nutbags going, oh yeah. Reverend Al? Oh yeah, they got to knock that off. I'm sitting there going, you people have to be kidding me.
It's the theories out there are wacky and wild and woolly. And
Here's the theory. Here's what it is, and we should thank our good friend Jody for coming up with this. This is Ari Fleischer, okay? Somebody I'm personally a fan of. The groups Harris did best with tell you why the Democrats have big problems. Rich people, those making more than 100,000, went from +5 for Biden to +8 for Harris. The rich are one of the only groups she improved with. Those who never go to religious services were +26 for Harris. Those who say they have no religion were +40. College grads were +8 for Harris, and those with postgraduate degrees were +24. The groups the D base is college-educated, wealthy, non-religious people. No wonder they're losing Hispanics and working people. They are a party that's increasingly rich, non-religious, and elitist, and out of touch.
Ross, what are you thinking, pal? I know you're a numbers cruncher on this sort of stuff. That's not enough of a base to do anything.
Well, first of all, if that were only true and that they were actually waking up to that, that would be a good sign for their party. But that's not what they've been saying over the last couple of days. If you jump on, especially the last 24 hours on MSNBC and CNN, they're actually saying that the electorate, including the Hispanics and the black males, are misogynist and racist. So they've learned absolutely nothing. And if you saw Letitia James out of New York come out on her press conference today, along with that loser Kathy Hochul, the governor of the state of New York, they came out and in the an exercise of unity, threatened Donald Trump to watch what he's doing and threaten more lawfare against the man. They've learned absolutely nothing, and that's good for us, terrible for them, and if they ever get power again, terrible for the fucking country.
I hope they keep doing down this path. I hope they keep going down this path. I want them to learn nothing. If these are the lessons that they're taking out of this, we're on easy street. We're going to be on election after election after election. Rick, these people don't know how to talk to the average American.
Well, no, they're still insisting that they only lost because of racism. I did want to point out one thing because the clip that you played a second ago,
and sexism.
It's all the isms. It's all the isms. Go ahead, Rick.
The clip that you played a second ago has a community note from X because apparently if the clip had been kept playing, he realized he didn't load the right screen. So there actually were like 2 counties that she outperformed Biden in.
Oh,
2.
Well, Lottie freaking dog.
Yeah, the one where Harvard is located and the one where Yale is located.
Yeah.
I just because I'm trying to be factually accurate, I just wanted to make sure we put that out there.
Gene,
well,
if I can.
Here's my thing.
You want robot voice. I get it. You're trying to be factually accurate, but you know what?
So, what I love most about today is the same people who booted Kamala Harris out of the primary in 2020 before a single vote was cast. Okay? The same people who wanted nothing to do with her, and the same media that wrote dozens of think pieces about how Joe Biden should dump her and replace her as VP coming into this election season, are now calling us racist and misogynist because we didn't vote for her.
Yeah, that's actually a great point, Ross. Stacey, great point. But Ross, let's talk about this because we have long memories of Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris has never won a competitive election ever. She ran races in California. That's not exactly saying that they're competitive. But 2019, she ran no delegates whatsoever. Didn't make it even to the first primary. She is inserted in this race, and she becomes the designee, having won no delegates or even run a primary here. That says something about having competitive primaries, doesn't it, pal? The Democrats got caught flat-footed in that respect.
Yeah, absolutely. Both her and her white Midwestern quasi-homosexual running mate were both DEI candidates, both when she was selected for vice president, selected to be the top of their ticket going in here, and when they picked Walsh, right? DEI, no real accomplishments, and she's a San Francisco liberal that never had a competitive race. I do have to make one note from management here towards Rick. We don't do fact checks here when they're against us, brother. We're not above spreading fake news. So if it benefits us, you just let it roll.
You know, I was about to say that, and I'm glad that you brought that up.
Duly noted.
Fuck the left. They do it all day long. We're not above spreading fake news here.
So, listen, there's so much to unpack, and it's going to be happening over weeks, right? I've narrowed it down to two different things that Kamala had going wrong for her, two different categories. One is policy, and we can talk about policy all the live long day. The other is personality. Rick, Kamala Harris is maybe, I'm going to say this, tell me if you agree or disagree. Kamala Harris is maybe the most inauthentic human being I've ever seen.
She makes Barbie seem animated as far as personality wise. There's literally nothing there. To quote our good friend JD, she brings nothing to the table. Absolutely nothing. She is a blank slate that the Democrats tried to program in to be all of the things for everything, and everyone, and that's part of what blew up in her face, because she's got two different commercials about the same issue running in two different locations, taking opposite stances, and you can't do that in this day and age. It might have worked 30 years ago when there were separate TV markets, etc. They still try to treat it like it is that way now. But everybody can see everything now because the internet is forever. So in Michigan, and I think it was Michigan, she's running an ad where she's pro-Hamas. In Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, she's running an ad where she's pro-Israel. And everybody's like, wait, you can't be both. And it's because she's nothing. They tried to Obama her is what they tried to do, and they only had like 2 weeks to get it done. They had 4 years to get him ready. They had 2 weeks for her. There was not enough time to Manchurian that candidate. That's all I'm going to say.
I agree with that. There wasn't enough time to do that. She also had a very deep hole to dig herself out of, Stacey, and she didn't do herself any favors, especially going on The View and basically saying, yeah, I'm Joe Biden light. There was nothing I wouldn't change from his administration.
I'm going to boil this down to one sentence. She was a worse retail candidate than Hillary Clinton. The laugh was worse.
Okay. I need
to wrap
my head around that.
The code switching was worse.
A horrible retail candidate.
Yeah, but think the cackle was worse. The code switching was worse. Something and whoa, but it's great in the morning. What the fuck? You are not a black creature. You are not Martin Luther King. Stop it. You're Hindu, for God's sakes. That's how you were raised.
And speaking of that inauthenticity, I just want to throw this out there to everybody else. And
she was raised in Canada.
Yeah.
She was not raised a poor black child, no matter what she says on TV.
Well, I mean, Steve Martin was, but
I'm just saying. She was raised by two college professors. Her mother took her and her sister to Canada. They lived in an upper middle class neighborhood. She went to high school in Canada. which might explain why she knows nothing about how the United States government works or is supposed to work. You know?
Yeah.
But see, my favorite thing about the outcome at this point, my absolutely favorite thing, because she was the worst retail candidate ever, like in my lifetime. Since elections have been driven by video and television and not radio, she has been the worst retail candidate. Worse than Hillary Clinton, worse than John Kerry, worse than all of them. Okay? My favorite thing now is they can't blame the Electoral College, so the people are the problem.
Oh, yes. You, me, everybody else, we're the problem here.
They're blaming a majority of Americans because to win the popular vote, you have won a majority of. Look at what he closed the gap in New York to.
Oh, I'm well aware of New York.
I mean, thank you. God bless you, New York. Thank you. God bless you, New Jersey.
Hold on. Calm down a minute. I'm not going that far because New York cost us 2 congressional seats, and the race for the House is still up in the air. But I need to go to Ross right now. I know you're saying a lot of things that he likes about Kamala and all that, but I want to just focus in on something that you said about who is the worst retail candidate, Hillary or Kamala. Ross, you're a veteran of many elections, and you know all about retail politicking, having done it yourself and having managed candidates. Who's worse?
Yeah, well, first of all, that side knew that Kamala was the worst. They knew it. The pundits now will say she, and you kind of alluded to this, that she didn't have enough time to, get the people to know her. First of all, she's the fucking sitting vice president of the United States, right? Anybody who wanted to know anything about her had plenty of time to know. They preferred a compressed campaign. She actually never did a real press conference. She did a few interviews. The Brett Baer interview nearly ended her campaign, and that was the only semi-tough one. The other ones were all on friendly territory, right? So they knew she was a terrible candidate. The more she came out, the worse her numbers got. The death blow, in my view, was one of the last questions she was asked on the campaign trail was when she cast her own ballot for herself. And they asked her, what did you vote on Prop 36 in California? Prop 36 would stiffen penalties for retail theft. And they have a big problem in California retail theft. And she said, I'm not going to get into that on the Sunday before the election because I don't want to appear that I'm endorsing it one way or the other. Bitch, you're running for president of the United States, right? They knew she was the worst retail political candidate. They wanted the compressed timeline. They're going to blame Joe Biden for not getting out earlier. If he got out earlier, this would have been even a bigger blowout.
You know what? Let's talk about Joe getting out early. Did he take too long to get out? Should he have never announced, Ross? What would have been the right play there? He should have said, "I never going to run."
Did he take too long? Yeah, he took too long because if the Democrats were serious about protecting democracy, they would have, first of all, never ran him. He was senile in 2020, right? There was no reason for him to even run the first time. The second time, the whole purpose of the 25th Amendment is to get a guy like that sidelined out of power. It's incumbent upon the vice president with the cabinet to initiate the 25th Amendment to remove him from power. Everything they've told us over the last 8, 10, 20, 50 years has been a fucking lie. Yes, he should have gotten out earlier, and they should have had an orderly primary where their voters got a say if they truly believed in defending and protecting democracy, but they don't.
Right. If you want to protect democracy, Rick, you got to practice democracy, right?
Yeah, I mean they did the exact opposite. They killed democracy to save democracy, and it blew up in their face.
It's completely disgusting what they did. We refuse to call Kamala Harris here the nominee. We've always called her the designee because that's what it was. She was designated as the candidate by Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama, which leads me to the juicy news that I'm hearing right now through different sources and media. It appears that there's a little bit of a maybe the start of a civil war within the leadership of the Democratic Party, because the Obama people who took over the campaign for Harris are sniping with the people loyal to Joe Biden. And the people with Joe Biden are saying, hey, at least we beat this guy. So, Stacey, are you seeing this as well, Stacey? And if you are you bringing the popcorn as much as I am?
I actually bought an entire selection of Amish popcorn today from my friend who runs a farm market because, A, God bless the Amish for getting out in Pennsylvania. I hear there were somewhere north of 80,000 of them, and every single one of them was voting for Trump. As far as like whether Kamala should have gotten in or whether Joe, I think if Joe had decided not to run, they would have had a legitimate primary. And I think they would have nominated Gavin Newsom.
If Gavin would have run.
Because they would have nominated Gavin Newsom before he had the debate with Ron DeSantis. And then they would have figured out what a disaster he was. Because he can't defend his California record. So I think we still would have won.
I had a conversation today. Ross knows my sister and knows that she is as liberal as the day is long. And in speaking to her today, and we rarely talk politics, she actually said to me from her point of view and speaking with her other liberal friends that there was no doubt in their mind that Trump was winning yesterday, which I thought was very interesting because even they, dyed-in-the-wool liberals. I mean, my sister registered with the Liberal Party in New York. That doesn't even exist anymore. Dyed-in-the-wool liberals saying that they knew Harris was going to lose because even they couldn't stand Harris, Ross.
Yeah. So the thing with that, Gene, is I think you're 100% right. The timeline to dump Biden had to be super early, right? Because once the Democrats committed to lawfare against Donald Trump, once they realized that January 6th hoax wasn't working, the lawfare against Donald Trump wasn't working, it was making him more powerful. The writing was on the wall that no matter who went up against Donald Trump, they were going to get destroyed. So does it make sense to waste a good candidate like a Josh Shapiro or a Gavin Newsom, good as far as they're concerned, against Donald Trump, who appeared to be becoming somewhat unstoppable, right? All the polls that were saying was a tied race going into this thing, bullshit, right? Clearly, it wasn't even close. The internals that the Trump campaign were looking at, along with some of the public polling from Trafalgar and some other sources, showed that it was always leaning towards Trump. And whether or not he got all 7 swing states was always going to be irrelevant. There was always going to be enough vote out there in several of those battlegrounds that he was going to win. So they didn't want to waste a candidate, and Biden would have had to do it super early for anyone else to have a chance. And to further prove the point, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. The vice presidential pick for them, Tim Walz, was another throwaway, right? You think Josh Shapiro gave it any serious thought to get on that sinking ship under Kamala Harris, an empty suit? No way, right? All this second guessing, like, if they picked Shapiro, he might have won Pennsylvania. Shapiro wasn't getting on that fucking Titanic. He saw the iceberg a year ago.
Well, I mean, I think today, and Rick, tell me if you disagree with this or not, the 2028 campaign started for Democrats today, and Josh Shapiro's name is in the mix. Gavin Newsom's name is in the mix. Gretchen Whitmer's name is in the mix. The rats are abandoning ship of this Democrat Party and are looking to rebuild their own.
I do agree that the campaign for them has started in earnest for 2028, but the first thing they're going to have to do is figure out how to put out the dumpster fire they're currently in before they're going to be able to do anything else.
Well, they're hoping that Trump becomes his own bigger dumpster fire from whatever policies he's going to be talking about here. So I think they're trying to see if Trump is going to Trump again, but his campaign manager that I saw on stage has really done a good job of keeping him on message. I forget what her name was, the woman who didn't want to speak during his speeches at 2 a.m. I was getting ready to go to sleep then when those speeches were happening, so I didn't catch her name. but it seemed like she's an iron lady that actually kept Trump in check. Stacey, do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
Oh, I okay. So I'm going to look up her name in a little bit. It was like the campaign manager for the campaign. There were 2 people involved with it. Ross, if you can bail me out with that, I'm going to look it up as well.
For Trump or for Kamala?
For Trump.
Oh, shoot, Susie
Wild, I think.
For Trump.
Susie Wiles and La Savita.
Okay, yeah, Susie Wiles. Yes, that's who I was talking about.
And David La Savita?
Yes. They really, I mean, they kept Trump on message. They kept him focused. His campaign was very.
They kept him off Twitter.
Well, yeah. I mean, Twitter tried to keep him off Twitter, and he came back on himself. But he stayed on message. I think that maybe the attempts on his life may have given them a little pause.
No,
but
Gene,
he was Trump. But he was Trump at his best.
It was Chris LaCivita. I think it was brilliantly played by the campaign, right? So as they got into the home stretch, Trump was on strict duty to rile up the base and get them out to vote. That's why he kept doing rallies. And J.D. Vance was dispatched to the battleground states and to handle all media because the guy is quick on his feet and much more articulate and thoughtful than President Trump. And to be honest, I've said this a bunch of times. The Democrats really fucked up with this one because had they not cheated in 2020, Donald Trump would be sailing off into the sunset in a couple of months. Now they get 80-year-old Trump that is older and crazier and vengeful. You know what? Fuck them. They get what they deserve.
Oh, I'm with you on that, and I think Rick is as well. I do want to focus on the VP pick for them, Tim Walz, and they could have had Josh Shapiro. And to me,
Josh Shapiro wasn't coming onto that ticket, bro.
I know, but if they would have pressed him, he probably would have.
No, he wouldn't have.
But
dude has political aspirations beyond this, and he knew this was the death knell of his career if he tried.
I want to know if he was even on the short list for Kamala Harris, and did they even ask? Because the loss of
he's a Jew.
Well, that's what I was about to say. The loss of Jewish support for Kamala Harris, I believe, especially in Pennsylvania, may have played a role in her underperforming there. I don't know the breakdown of voters there. I'm speculating at this point. But, Stacey, you got to think if Shapiro's on the ticket, Kamala Harris wins Pennsylvania.
It wouldn't have mattered, though.
I don't know that I don't know that it's possible because he's a popular governor, but 43% of Jewish Americans voted for Trump.
I mean,
that's the highest share. That's the highest share since 1988.
Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that Shapiro swung Pennsylvania. That still puts the blue wall in play, and it fell harder than the walls of Jericho. He wouldn't have been able to save the campaign. There's no way.
But if you would have had Shapiro going and stumping in Pennsylvania, and that would have freed Harris up to stump more in Wisconsin and Michigan. Ross, we talked about this on the show a couple of weeks ago, how there were warning bells coming out of Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania from Democrat pollsters and other politicians like Elise Slotkin, who ended up winning her race, who outperformed Kamala Harris, and also what the hell is the name of the? I'm getting really spoosty in my old age.
Baldwin, Casey, a bunch of them.
Tammy Baldwin, thank you. God, I'm glad you're here. Tammy Baldwin, who also outperformed Kamala Harris, they both set up the alarm bells. Yeah, about 30 days out.
Well, yeah, and their alarm bells were taking out television ads, tying themselves to Donald Trump, and saying that they can work with him because they saw the writing on the wall. Now, listen. A guy like Josh Shapiro is a talented politician. So is Gavin Newsom, right? I hate him, but he's talented. Here's the problem that they're all going to have. And this is what got wrapped around Kamala Harris's neck and is going to be wrapped around any Democrat's neck going forward. And Rick kind of alluded to this. The party is out of step with America, right? Clearly now. They lost the popular vote. So what position can they take on any issue without alienating their own crazy base or the majority of Americans? The only way is to put out the dumpster fire of their own party, right? Donald Trump was able to do that back in 2015 when he ran. How did he do it? He got on stage with a bunch of establishment Republicans, and he didn't toe the party line. And he wasn't meek like a Mitt Romney or our old establishment type Republicans. He bullied them. He called out the Bushes and the Cheneys for the forever wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. He bullied them about tariffs and America First policies, right? He created this new Republican Party coalition that we have now. And it's a thing that only Donald Trump could do on our side. After Donald Trump, we're in a lot of fucking trouble. But the Democrats are at that stage. Which one of them can get their party back online with the mainstream of America? I don't see anyone there that will stand up to the Democratic beast and get them back online. No one.
And the question then becomes, who has the balls to stand up to the current base and tell them, you know what, we tried it your way, you're wrong, and who's willing to alienate that base in order to broaden that base going forward?
Well, it's worse than that. It's worse than that, though, because if you see everything they're talking about today, they don't even see that they have a fucking problem. They don't think that they're the problem. This is the difference between our side and their side. Even in 2020, even with all the shenanigans that we saw, we still did a deep dive on everything. We were introspective. We were looking, saying, look, I know that this didn't connect right. This didn't connect right. But what can we do differently to resonate to get? They can't see that. All they have talked about today everywhere is all of this is the voters' fault. It's not their fault. It's the voters' fault. It's racism. It's every ism. It's all the phobias, and then they have not only have they disconnected from their own base, they've disconnected from the majority of America, and at this point, they are caught in their own cognitive dissonance so deeply that they can't see a way out of it. It's been blowing up everywhere today.
I would submit that you're seeing a lot of that on social media. I did see many pundits on TV.
I'm also seeing it on TV, though.
Well,
that's the thing.
Well, let me tell you what I saw on TV as well, because maybe we can compare and contrast then. I saw people on TV, Democratic strategists, comparing what happened what happened last night to the Red Wedding from Game of Thrones. I saw John King calling it a shellacking. I saw pundits out there saying that there needs to be a real introspection out there that we sort of did. I saw that Marie Harf said it on Fox. I know Lindy Lee saw it on Fox. John King on CNN.
The problem was they said all the right things, but then when they kept talking, everything still shifted back to this is really the voters' fault.
Well, I think they're going through the levels of grief right now. The rank and file certainly are. I think once they get to the acceptance phase in a month or two, you may see people start, singing a different tune.
I think you're being generous. I think it might take them about a decade or two, but that's wishful thinking on my part, because I don't want them to learn anything or quickly.
Ross, you're shaking your head, pal.
Yeah, I mean, Gene, how do you build a coalition between suburban moms and people who want men to compete in female sports and go to the bathroom with your daughter? Like, how do you do that? There's no way to cross that, to square that. How do you get the Jewish vote back while saying that they're committing a genocide in Israel while there's hostages still being held in tunnels in fucking Gaza? Like, how do you cross that?
Here's how you do it, and this is my opinion how you do it. You got to dump the talking points for the side that's been bringing you down. Where else are these liberal maniacs going to go? You don't have to cater to them. They're votes that are already in the bank for you. You got to win over the suburban moms. So you de-accentuate the discussion about transgender bathrooms and transgender sports. You de-emphasize all that, because where are those people going to go anyway? They're just going to be there for you, and they're going to come out to vote for you, or they're not. But you can certainly make up the difference about that very small segment of the population by broadening the base with those suburban moms. I think that it's a trade-off that they should be willing to make. Stacey, am I off base?
Oh, you're not off base, but I'm not going to help them. Like, why should I encourage them to make that trade-off?
No, I get that. We don't want...
Yeah, and who, though? The real question, Gene, is who? They don't have a Donald Trump on their side. They can't do it. Someone needs to stand up to the hard left. The hard left is in the driver's seat in their party. They call us the hard right.
look at what happened in the 2020 primary. They had to take the dementia patient because the other 12 candidates were all on the absolute radical left.
Their most
Kamala
popular
Harris
candidate
wasn't alone in her screwed up policies. Even Amy Klobuchar was out of her freaking mind.
Correct, Stacey, and their most popular candidate both in 2016 and 2020 and going into 2028 will be Bernie Sanders. They had to cheat in both of those primaries to make sure Bernie Sanders wasn't their fucking nominee, and they're going to have to do it again. And you don't get any further left than that guy except for maybe Kamala Harris and her voting record.
That's true.
I
Guys, I got to
still-
do a little. Go ahead. Then I got to do the grift. Go ahead.
I was going to say I still submit that Amy Klobuchar can't lose something she's never had. She ate salad with a comb.
Good Lord. Good. Yeah, I remember that too. Guys, I want to take a moment here right around halftime of the show to say thank you for tuning in to Behind the Enemy Lines. I'm glad you're here, whether with us on YouTube, on X. If you're watching on KLRN Radio, I know there's a whole bunch of you out there doing it. Shout out to you guys for hanging out with us. And of course, on Rumble, if you're there, you guys are some of the true patriots right now. Thanks for watching the show. Like, comment, share the show with your friends, all that good stuff. Subscribe to the channel wherever you are. And you can always check out our merch at shop.buffoonoftheweek.com. But yeah, check us out. Like, share, subscribe. We're relatively new in the space. Although we've been doing this a while, we kind of returned into it. We're glad that you're here. And I hope you're having fun with us talking about this amazing and interesting time that we're living in, with Republicans actually possibly, more than likely, sweeping the government on one night in 2024. It's absolutely amazing. I do want to have some fun with you guys, and I do want to look at some of the meltdowns that I found online. I know we've been, I don't know about you guys, but I've been insufferable on social media all day, calling out all the people that have been like trolling us and grifting, and all the bots out there and all the NPCs out there that are just absolute idiots. I got to show this because this is so reminiscent of 2016. I absolutely love this.
What in the Alison Wonderland nightmares is going on right now?
All I can say is how fucking dare you.
If you voted for that man, if you voted for anybody other than Kamala, and you live in one of the states that it was, close, or if you didn't vote, fuck you.
Stacey, what's up with white women? Are they okay?
52% of us voted for Trump.
Okay, but the other 48%, are they okay?
These are these are the college educated people making over $100,000 who have advanced degrees and watch frickin' Rachel Maddow. So they listen to how gay people are going to be put into camps, and we're going to round up all the Latinos regardless of status and ship them to their home country, even if they've been here for 6 generations. I mean, that Donald Trump is going to jail Joy Behar, and then they believe the lie that Kamala Harris was somehow going to restore Roe versus Wade nationwide. That was never going to happen. That law would never pass. You can't do it by executive edict. And even if she did, if we had still won the Senate, it was never going to pass Congress, and you're never going to be able to expand the court to get them to say, yeah, you can do it. So they just believe the lies, and they don't really understand how the government works, because if you look at any assessment of the college educated, they're dumber than when they leave high school.
Okay, so I'm going to show you how a man answers that. Hey, Ross, what's up with white women? Are they okay?
First of all, if anyone just tuned in, that picture on the screen is not Stacey. That's not her.
No, that's not me.
But I thought that was so she dropped some good wisdom there. I looked this up earlier today, and Stacey's 100% right. Donald Trump actually won white women, right? So going into this election, we were told that Kamala Harris is going to destroy Trump with women, and in particular, white suburban women. It turned out not to be true, right? He made his largest gains, of course, with African American women. And although we really chipped into the Hispanic voting bloc, Hispanic women also leaned much more heavily towards Kamala Harris than anybody on the Republican side.
We
right?
got 40% of Hispanic women, which was still a gain.
Still a huge gain, but I go back to Gene. Are they okay? What is wrong with them? Why the fuck are they, Hispanic women especially, right? They put out commercials this cycle saying you don't have to tell your husband who you're going to vote for. I don't know. I've never dated a white woman who I could tell anything, right? I never even really met a Hispanic woman that I could tell anything, especially who to go fucking vote for, right? If their men are conservative, and Hispanics in particular are very conservative, which, by the way, I think the Democrats are going to want to close the border real fucking quick after they just seen what happened with the Hispanic vote. But yeah, I don't understand where they're coming from. They're family oriented. They believe in God. They have kids. But somehow they're voting for a party that pushes abortions, transgender, and
but
believes in communism.
You also have to understand that in both of those demographic groups, more Hispanic young women go to college than men, and more Black women go to college than Black men. So you're dealing with, as a percentage of the population, more college-educated people in one sex as opposed to the other.
All right. Well, with that in mind, let's keep watching this clip and pay particular attention to some of the beta men in this clip as well.
Hey, hang on, but before you
Before I do that, go ahead.
I was going to say there was one question that the Harris campaign kept asking itself all night last night based on this conversation, and it was this question right here.
Hey, where are the white women at?
Because they didn't show up for them.
I was going to use that clip myself, but I'm glad you got to it first. Go ahead. All right, we're going to keep going with the video.
Or if you didn't vote, fuck you.
So edgy.
Go Kamala.
I chose family. I chose women. I chose America. I love you.
How the fuck is this still happening? All I've ever known politically is hatred.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with you.
Oh no, you're done with me? Oh no, what is I gonna do? Oh my God, this has got to be fake. Oh, some of these have to be fake, Ross. I cannot believe that this is real life. I can't believe it. No.
Yeah, I'm not a big social media guy, so I never really understood filming these types of things. Some of them definitely look fake, but then every once in a while you'll go to like a Starbucks and meet one of these people, like green hair, nose ring, and they're real. Like I don't know how these people are real, but they're fucking real.
Oh my God, I was in Chipotle yesterday, the day of the election, and I'm sitting there in Queens at Chipotle, and I'm listening to this conversation from these two people at a table away. The epithets and the dramatic discussion of Donald Trump and how anyone can vote for him and be with him. He's a disgusting human being. This whole running the gamut. And I'm thinking to myself, this is the most main character syndrome thing I have seen. Politics breeds main character syndrome, Rick. They breed these people who think that they are the center of the universe because everyone's trying to clamor to get their vote. And when they find out that they're insignificant or that their viewpoint is the minority and they should have really been touching grass instead of making videos, they have meltdowns like this.
Well, I would say it goes a step further because there's a nice little wordplay you use there about main character syndrome. What happens is they think they're the main character, and then they find out that instead they're just an NPC, and they don't know how to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what's been happening.
It's what's been happening, but it happens among younger people. But Stacey, I thought, the one of the biggest takeaways as far as the numbers go, and maybe you can confirm this for me, younger people went plus 10 for Trump compared to 2020, right?
Correct. The children of Gen X who went 53% for Trump, and you can thank us all for saving the nation
Gen
later.
X saved the world, baby. Gen X saved the world. Let's go.
We were going to do it. We told them we were going to do it.
We told them. You've ignored us long enough. Boomers, get out of the way. Done.
More importantly, they annoyed us to the point where we had to do something because Ross, I don't know about you, but I've been happy to be the forgotten generation. You don't want to bother me. Don't start none, won't be none. Fuck around and find out and all that. They fucked around too much and they found out.
As my good friend, Ordnance J. Packard said today, let's see. As we always say, wait until the people who just want to be left the fuck alone get involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
His nickname is Amish, by the way.
Yeah, he's been on the show before. We know him very well.
Yes, I'm just saying, wait until the leave me the fuck alone crowd decides to get involved. I think we're going to find a lot of the increase for Donald Trump was low propensity voters in rural areas. I think in places like Pennsylvania and a couple other states, Scott Pressler and Charlie Kirk and Elon Musk's organization got those people off the freaking couch and to the polls.
Well, that remains to be seen. If I never hear the phrase low propensity voter again, it'll be too soon. But Ross, buddy.
I'm just saying, and I want to say this as well. We all owe a severe debt of gratitude to Elon Musk for buying X.
Oh,
because
yeah,
I truly believe without X, we would not have gotten our message out there. It would not have permeated the public consciousness because the narrative is set on X and the mainstream media still has to cover it. It still has to cover what's being talked about there. And thank God, Elon Musk is an American treasure. And if Donald Trump doesn't give that man a Medal of Freedom within the first couple months of his office, it's a failure. It's an absolute failure.
That remains to be seen. I know he's going to get something out of this. Ross, how many times have
he spent $44 million and bought 3 branches of government?
That's one way of looking at it for sure. Ross, how many times in the past time, in the times that you've been working in politics, have you been called fascist, Nazi, maggot, racist, misogynist, ignorant, stupid, garbage, deplorable, non-essential? All those names. It had to come to a boiling point, and it came in this election.
Yeah, fuck them. They woke up the people you're talking about, right? White boy summer. It took me a long time to even figure out what that was. It was pretty funny. We're going into a white boy winter, possibly, right? White heterosexual Christian males. They got up off the fucking couch. They did their thing. And yeah, TPUSA and a bunch of other people did some great stuff. Here's the problem, and don't get your hopes up, people. There is no savior like going to get the Republican Party back in line. I keep warning you people. Donald Trump is it. There is no one else. This coalition that we formed cannot be replicated unless someone steps up and becomes another Donald Trump. I'm still hoping it's a guy like Ron DeSantis, right? He kind of stepped on his own dick by running for office against the king, right? If you go for the king, you best not miss. And he missed, right? So hopefully he gets back in good graces and can carry on next cycle. But look at the Republican Party. You're going to be very disappointed. Yeah, we control possibly both houses of Congress, the White House, and we have a conservative Supreme Court. Who the fuck cares? Donald Trump had that in 2016 for the first 2 years too. And what happened? Not a goddamn thing. We didn't get the border wall passed. None of it. He had to steal money.
What we don't have.
Done. Well, and let me
what
finish
we
this.
don't have.
Let me finish. I'll go to you, Stacey, for sure.
Let me finish this because you're going to be extraordinarily disappointed when the Senate goes into secret meetings to pick our next majority leader. You're not going to like who the fuck they pick, right? The Democrats keep threatening us with eliminating the filibuster. I've been saying this for quite some time. Call their fucking bluff. We have a minimum of 52 Republican senators plus the vice president now. Fuck you. You wanted to eliminate the filibuster? Let's fucking do it. You're not going to hold that over our heads forever. You want to expand the Supreme Court? Fuck you. Let's do it. You want to admit new states into the union so you can get 2 more senators in Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico? Fuck you. Let's do it. Let's break Texas up into 3 states. We control Congress. We'll separate them to 3 states, gerrymander them, and get 6 senators out of fucking Texas, right? But we don't have the balls to fight and win like that. Only they do. So be prepared to be very disappointed. Just enjoy the ride under Donald Trump because that's all you're going to get out of this.
Stacey, go ahead.
We don't have Paul Ryan and we won't have Mitch McConnell. Mike Johnson
Who's after Mitch
already,
McConnell, Stacey?
Excuse me. Mike Johnson is already beholden to Trump. Trump does not need to spend.
Who's going to replace Mitch McConnell?
Listen to what I'm saying. Donald Trump doesn't need to worry about the House. Mike Johnson will do whatever Trump tells him to do. That's a fact. It's already been done. He needs to spend all his political capital, every single penny of his political capital, along with J.D. Vance, getting who he wants as the Senate Majority Leader.
Okay, but now let's talk about who the nominees that are up there right now. It's Thune, Cornyn, and Barrasso.
Trash.
That's who's
none of them. Donald Trump doesn't want any of them. He should pick who he wants and ram them through. Spend every bit of political capital he has, every bit, to get the Senate.
But the question then becomes, if it's a secret meeting like Ross says, how do we know that the Senate isn't going to do what they want to do? That's the question. That, and that I think is the problem. The Senate is going to do what the Senate does. Surely Trump is going to have a say in it. At least that's how it should happen. I agree with that. But if it ends up being someone with no backbone, Barrasso was the number 2 guy behind McConnell. He'll just be McConnell, but he was the guy, I like to call Barrasso the guy who would wind up McConnell every time he would shut down. He would be the guy saying, Mitch, you okay? In the background there. Rick, are you okay with who they're talking about for the leadership of the Senate?
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. No, actually, I have heard a couple of people floating the idea of Rand Paul. That's kind of who I would prefer at this point if I had my druthers of who is in there right now that could do the job. But
okay, A, does he want it? B, will others support him? That's the problem.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying whether he has a chance at it or not. I'm just saying of the ones that you've listed, I wouldn't want any of them. So that would be a problem.
Rick, but Rand Paul
I say we go big. I say Marsha Blackburn. Let's have the first female Senate Majority Leader. No, let's have the first female Senate Majority Leader. She is supportive of Donald Trump. She will listen to him. She's from Tennessee. Let's just do it. Let's have the first female. Let's take it from them.
I don't see that happening.
Dude,
I don't think Black. Go ahead, Rose, let me just say one thing real quick.
She's on Judiciary.
She's a backbencher on Judiciary. She's not in any leadership roles anywhere, and I guarantee you, the senior leadership in the Republican Party are not going to look kindly to being passed up that way. That's a non-starter in my opinion. But listen, one guy's opinion. Ross, what are we about to say?
Yeah, so just real quick, there's a bunch of names flown out there too. Like, all right, Rand Paul, first of all, he never formally endorsed Donald Trump, so I got a little bit of an issue with that one too. I love Rand Paul, but he never really fully got on board either. So here's the thing. Even if now let's just, a miracle happens and we get a real Senate leader. Okay, great. With the filibuster in place, we still get nothing. The only way to pass something is with 60 votes, unless it's through reconciliation, which is only for financial type bills, right?
We get the tax cuts through reconciliation.
Hold on. The only other tool in the toolbox, which Republicans have no balls to use, because we could have used it for the last couple of years, is to shut down the government. When we're in the minority and they need our votes, we never are willing to shut down the government because we'll get blamed. When we're in the majority and the Democrats don't come along with us in the Senate, we are never willing to shut down the government. So unless we get rid of the filibuster and call their fucking bluff to pass things that we want at 51 votes, which they will do to us at some point. They have done it to us with judicial nominations. They've done it. They started that, the Harry Reid rule, right? Unless we have balls to do that or shut down the government, Donald Trump will not get his agenda passed. Bookmark this show. I'm telling you, he will not get his agenda passed.
Okay. So
you get to make the tax cuts permanent through reconciliation. Trump tax cuts permanent. Reconciliation. You'll get it. You get every single nominee he wants to head every single executive agency, which will then execute the Elon Musk plan to cut the bureaucracy in half. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Tell her about the Supreme Court decision that federal agencies no longer can make rules and regulations without going through Congress.
Oh, that's the Chevron. Yeah, Chevron was overturned.
The Chevron deference.
It was
the
a
Chevron
win, but we're not
deference
going to be able to
is
use it now either.
Oh, wait, Stacey, go ahead. Chevron deference was overturned, and you were saying that you don't need Chevron deference. That's what you're saying?
Well, we don't have Chevron. Chevron deference is gone.
Right. So that means Congress and the Senate have to pass those laws and
Well,
pass those laws?
that means every time an agency, for some period of time, every time an agency exceeds what Congress believes is its boundaries, they have to stop them, and you may have to go through some kind of legal process to discern, was it articulated in the law or whatever. There's going to be a process to unwinding Chevron deference. It's been going on too long. It's just not tomorrow. The bureaucracy has to submit every regulation to Congress. That's not happening. It's going to take an unwinding process. What doesn't take an unwinding process is to get all of Trump's nominees through the process, right?
Yeah.
And then they're there. So as we get the Doge committee, which I do believe will happen, and you get RFK's feedback about what we need to do to cut corruption and reform the health agencies, the people that Donald Trump appoints will execute those plans. So yes, his agenda gets through. You're not going to get a bunch of laws passed. It's just not going to happen. But there's a significant amount that Remain in Mexico can come back. Don't need Congress for that. There's a whole bunch of things that can happen regardless. Judicial nominees.
Or like RFK talking about taking fluoride out of water, right? I think it's a great idea. We should look into that. That's going to be a problem. The agency, the FDA is not going to be able to do that without Congress's input. And you're not going to get Democrats in the Senate to go on board with any of that shit.
The FDA, first of all, fluoride is put into water by localities. So that whole thing is not even what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is within the NIH, okay? And this can be done by the executive. You don't need Congress to do it. These rules were set up without Congress. The executive can take care of it. You don't get to get kickbacks anymore. You don't get royalty scientists at the NIH. You can't go work for Pfizer for 10 years after you leave the bureaucracy. Putting those things in place, and that cannot be overridden no matter what. There is no exception to that because we can't have that kind of corruption. Decoupling the agencies from being in bed with big business and big ag and everything else is something that can be done without Congress.
Okay, listen, I think it all remains to be seen. We're definitely getting into uncharted territory. And we're getting a lot wonkier than I wanted to do on a shitposting stream. But that's totally okay. And I'm glad that we can have disagreements like this. Because frankly, this is what's going to end up happening. I think that, for my part at least, I think that who is in the leadership has got to run through Donald Trump. And if Trump doesn't get that, there's going to be a problem. And I also think that when it comes to that 60-vote threshold on many issues that are going to have to be passed that fall outside of reconciliation, there's going to have to be some horse trading there. I'm not saying that we're going to get 100% of everything, but I think enough can be handled through passing budgets and actually allocating money directly to things and defunding certain things that shouldn't be funded, like the Department of Education, for instance, which Trump said that he wants to get rid of and have funding go directly to the states themselves through Congress. I think that this can all be ironed out by communication with the sides. I think what Ross is trying to say here is that the precedent was set in 2016, 2017, that people, when it comes to power, tend to not play well together. You can chalk it up to it being, Paul Ryan and his agenda and Mitch McConnell and his agenda, but you never know what giving someone who has been in government for many, many years, like a John Cornyn, like a John Thune,
it can't be John
or like
Cornyn.
a John Barrasso, that by giving them power that they're not going to get a little heady with it and try to modify the Trump agenda. And the fact that Trump is going to be hard-pressed to get a real loyalist in the Senate, I think is a valid concern here. Until Trump actually says who he wants in there, I think the conversation has to be a little concerning here. By the way, Rick, shut up. You talk too much in this segment. What the hell are you doing?
Well, I've been basically waiting for everybody to calm down. Everybody got all heated.
Mommy and Daddy, please stop all the fighting. I can't stand all the fighting.
It's kind of what it felt like. Look, I almost agree with Ross, and I've been teasing people about it all day today. This is what I think we should do, because we keep being told now from the left that we need to reach across the aisle. First thing I would do if it were me is, okay, this is how I'm going to reach across the aisle. We're going to do away with the filibuster for you. We're going to we're going to expand the Supreme Court for you. Then we're going to pack the Supreme Court. Then when we're done with all of that and we get everything exactly how we wanted, with everything that Trump wants passed, while we still have a simple majority, we're going to put all the filibuster shit back in place. So then you have to decide if you want to be the ones to undo it again.
No, they're not going to undo it. They're not going to undo it. They'll just expand the court packing. I am never going to give my enemy a tool they can use against me. That's why I don't believe they really would have made the full filibuster wide open. It's not like they're never going to lose an election again. I think they learned their lesson from Harry Reid. Okay, they might have run on it to gin up their base. I don't think it actually would have happened.
But
number one,
we thought they were never going to use the nuclear option either, and then they did. So
right, they didn't learn that lesson, I don't think, because when Biden
won, they used the nuclear option under Reid.
But that's what I'm saying. We kept saying for years, because they were threatening this for as long as.
And then they got smacked right the fuck around by Mitch McConnell.
And then
after they did it,
and then they still started threatening to get rid of the filibuster. If they learned their fucking lesson, they wouldn't have been running their damn mouth.
I think that was for the base. I really do.
I don't think
First
so.
of all, we have more.
I think everything that they're saying today proves exactly how fucking retarded that side of the aisle is, and that's a hill I'm willing to die on.
All right,
yeah,
Ross, go ahead.
Rick, we have more than 25 states, right? We have to stop playing like gentlemen. We have more than 25 states that are red. Theoretically, if we did our fucking job, we'd always have a perpetual majority in the Senate, right? So what are we afraid of? Yeah, we might wind up in the minority one day. But when we wind up in the minority and they eliminate the filibuster, there ain't a goddamn thing we could do about it. And when they admit 2 more states in, we will be in the forever minority, right? So call their bluff. We can't be under this gun forever.
I'm with you, brother. I'm not going to pretend I'm not.
All right, you know what? Listen, it's getting time to end the show. I want to end on a good note. It's time to do some final thought stuff here. I have one final thought I need to show everybody. This to me is one of the perfect moments of buffoonery, and you know how much I love talking about buffoonery, that I have ever seen during a campaign. I've said this before in my book, Schnooks, Crooks, Liars, and Scoundrels, a field guide to identifying political buffoons, available right now on Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, and other online bookstores. I've said that Reverend Al Sharpton is the alpha and omega of buffoonery, right? This is a tweet that was sent out by Reverend Al that our friend Amanda Kohut sent me. Results are coming in. It's tight, but it's not over yet. If you're in line to vote when the polls close, stay in line. As long as you're in line by the time polls close, you can still cast your vote. If you run into any issues, call or text the Election Protection Hotline, blah, 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 blah. The problem with this post on X was that Reverend Al sent it out at 12:15 a.m. on November 6th. Nobody was still in line at that time that I know of, maybe Nevada at the most, at 12:15 a.m. And if you look at the responses, Supergirl saying, it's overdue, Trump has got this. Oscar, I think, let me see what his name is here. Oscar Hancock 15 says, Rev, you posted this at 12:15 in the morning. It's over. Fire your intern. This, to me, is the quintessential buffoon move by the alpha and omega of political buffoonery. And to that, Reverend Al, I thank you eternally for being the thread that goes throughout my book. You're the best, man. Thanks so much for that. And I'm glad that you were right on top of the voting. So I'm going to turn it over to our 2 guests. Guys, thanks so much for coming on again. Rick, Stacy. I'm glad we had some lively debate here. It was fantastic to hear. Stacy, I'm going to let you go first because I know Rick has all the grift for KLRN to follow. So go ahead. Any topic you want for as long as you want.
Any topic I want for as long as I want.
Yeah. It's your final thought. It's all yours.
Gen Z is becoming more conservative earlier than previous generations, so I hold out a great deal of hope. Having a couple in my household, we raised them right. So I'm very happy about that. I think 44% of that age group is phenomenal for a Republican. And listening to the young gentleman who go to school with Megyn Kelly's son on her podcast from last night, we are in excellent space with them. We just got to work on our girls.
All right. Anything you want to plug real quick?
Not really.
All right. At Scott's Fire on X, SCOTSFYRE on X if you want to hear more from Stacy, and definitely check out all the columns that she writes that she posts on there as well. Rick, hit your grift. Tell everybody about KLRN as always, and give me your final thought on election night and this victory lap that we're on right now.
All right. So first of all, if you would be so inclined, you are welcome to follow me at RowdyRick73. You can follow our network feed on X at KLRN Radio, our new news arm at Digital Beacon US. You can find me as a daily contributor to Twitchy.com, an occasional contributor to MisfitsPolitics.com, and TheLoftusParty.com. I also produce the Loftus Party podcast, which usually drops on Tuesdays. You can find me pretty much daily, KLRN Radio, Tuesday through Friday, noon to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Also simulcast on SHR Media in the Cali market from 9 to 1. Tomorrow I will be off because I'm taking that day off because I worked Monday. Tomorrow night I'll be back doing Jen and Rick. We haven't done a show for about a couple of weeks, so we're coming back to do that one. That'll be 10 p.m. Eastern. Friday night I will be doing He Said, She Said with Aggie Rican. That is 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Saturday night's Juxtaposition. That's 10 p.m. Eastern. Sunday night is America Off the Rails. That is also 10 p.m. Eastern. And then Monday I will be my usual off with a replay and then back again on Tuesday. When I'm not doing all that stuff, I'm usually trying to sleep, which is rare. I think that's it. I think. And if not, I already said.
And where's the best place they can listen? Where's the best place they can listen to all that and more?
You can find us on pretty much every podcatcher known to man. You can find us on our YouTube and Rumble channels under at KLRN Radio. And our most popular place for everybody to listen is still actually our X feeds.
All right.
Can I do one closing thing that I missed?
Of course.
Kamala Harris ended $20 million in debt. The campaign raised over $1 billion.
Yes.
That's terrifying.
That's amazing.
I'm glad she
We
didn't
should
get
be very glad she's not running government spending.
I'm very glad she didn't get a hold of the government pocketbook. Holy
Yep.
shit.
Well, according to Posobiec, it wasn't a campaign; it was a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the real winners of the Kamala Harris campaign are Beyonce and Lizzo and Megan.
And they didn't even have to sing.
They didn't have to do anything. It's amazing.
They had to read a speech off their cell phone. How much do you suppose they paid Cardi B to do that?
Well, you mentioned Cardi B. All right, Ross, I'm coming to you right now, but they mentioned Cardi B. I got to put up the biggest self-own of the night from election 2024. Cardi B saying, we need a Hail Mary, and Lila Rose, who very staunch pro-life advocate, saying, hey, Cardi, Mary is pro-life. I loved that own. It was tremendous. All right, I had to say that. Galloway, you're on, pal.
All right. Let me get all this out. First of all, thank you, Stacy and Rick, for coming on. Had a blast. Spoiler alert to the left. All that talk about Project 2025 being our plan. Hey, it really is our fucking plan. Buckle up. Rick alluded to this earlier. Lots of talk about unity. Let me start off with this. Fuck you. No unity, right? You want unity? Why don't the left start by pardoning Donald Trump and New York pardoning? I'm not talking about dropping the federal charges just because he won the election. Pardon the man now if you want fucking unity. You started off his first election, right out of the gate with a Russia collusion hoax. You smeared General Flynn and called him a traitor. You impeached Donald Trump twice over witch hunts and hoaxes. BLM, the Democrats' militia, rioted throughout all of 2020, and the media called them mostly peaceful fucking protests. Unscientific and unconstitutional COVID lockdowns in Democrat states. They stole the 2020 election. They instigated January 6th and then accused Donald Trump of that hoax. They jailed Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro, Owen Schroyer, and thousands of other non-violent protesters from January 6th. They shot and killed an unarmed white woman, veteran, Air Force veteran named Ashley Babbitt. They took the law licenses of Rudy Giuliani and many others. They canceled us. I got banned from Twitter, canceled us and censored us when we questioned any of that. They forced experimental gene therapy in the form of an mRNA vaccine on us. They threatened us with a winter of severe illness and death. They claimed throughout, after they stole the fucking 2020 election, they claimed Joe Biden was fine. We all knew he wasn't fine. They claimed the border was not in crisis. They claimed inflation was transitory. They persecuted Donald Trump over the last 4 years. E. Jean Carroll accused the man of rape, a hoax. They took $500 million from the man that he's fighting to get back. The Stormy Daniels hoax. 2 assassination attempts. Donald Trump was shot in the fucking head. Unity? Fuck you. I want vengeance.
I can't follow that up, so I'm going to say thank you guys for coming on the show. Thank everybody for tuning in. It's time to shut this motherfucker down. Thank you guys for showing up. We are out of here, but for the first time in the new Trump era, somebody play my motherfucking anthem.
We're not allowed, not without electoral.
Go fuck yourself. Is that clear?
Teeth don't let them have sway. Conservative battalions walking them out, marching through the streets while the buffoons all shout. Move in the shadows, flag on my chest, repping my clan, putting faith to the test. Cause love ain't blue behind enemy lines, fighting for the truth, feels like wartime. Don't back down, keep it rocking and roll. Cool in the chaos, but loud in the roar. But loud in the roar. This is our chance. If I ever stand with a smirk and a gaze, holding down the fort in this Democrat cage.